Alright, so following up with the first Obscure, we actually have Obscure 2 here. Uh, you'll notice that I'm actually playing in widescreen. This isn't the Steam version, this is actually a personal ROM that I dumped and then am using PCSX with a widescreen fix. Because there's actually no widescreen fix for the Steam version, so I kind of had to do a bunch of jankery and actually dump my own PlayStation 2 copy to this, which actually Obscure the Aftermath is relatively cheap, for now anyways. I got mine back whenever it was like 10 to 15 bucks at a game exchange, so it's not too bad, but we will be carrying on with the second Obscure game in the series. The events of this one basically follow right after the first, except now the kids are in college, so we will have some new characters introduced as well as old ones, but we'll get to that when we get to it.
And I remember so many good times with my friends Ashley, Josh, Kenny, and Shannon. Until Herbert Friedman decided to use the students as guinea pigs for an experiment that would save the...
And Stan actually lost his "yo dog, you be trippin'" kind of dialect, so I'm a little sad about that, but at the same time, he probably found that he was so damn cringy in high school that he needed to change it, as we all do. So again, this game does take place after the events of the first one, so we will have the Mordophilia coming back, as well as some of her characters. But here we're introduced to two new ones, which is Corey and May. Just two random kids that happen to be in college with the rest of the crowd. You may notice some jankery with the graphics. Again, this is using an emulator, so I just had to get it as close as possible. So some of the shadows are a little, needless to say, kind of distracting, but it's not too bad overall.
Come in.
But this was the only way I could figure out to get it into widescreen, so...
Wow, what's in there?
And as happens with the college kid crowd, sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Time we tried it.
Blatantly abundant.
Hey. Kenny, what are you doing? Great. My sister.
And actually we have the return of Kenny and Shannon for a quick cameo until later.
It's really exclusive.
If you're with me, it won't be an issue.
But apparently the drug of choice at this college is to huff flowers that people were finding around randomly. So,
Crap.
really, really smart idea, needless to say. The game essentially controls like it did in the original. You do have the couch co-op aspect, you do have weapons, melee and ranged variety. Basically, just same old as we did in the first. We have some graves here, though.
Who lived in anger and died because of it. Who wrote this crap? Huh? Who?
One thing I did notice, though, about the characters, though, is that the AI partner, somehow, in between the first and second game, actually blocks your way even more than before. So, it can be kind of irritating having the AI partners.
Hey, let her go!
Hey, you! Stop!
I don't really know how, because in the original they seem to go pretty well with you, but in this one they
Let her go. You're
seem to have massive issues moving whenever you walk into them.
Something's coming. Can you feel it?
It's not too terrible, but at the same time, it can get a little annoying. But here we've got our creepy introduction. So we're going to soak it all in.
Where is the other half of me? I'm here, June! June! I need the other half of me.
Needless to say, it starts off pretty hard and fast.
He desires me, Sven. Oh, they all want me.
Corey, you bastard. Stop, Sven! Just stop!
All in all, a pretty decent little intro sequence we got going here. I don't know about the fuzz effect, though. That's a little distracting, but at the same time, it's
See how
okay.
satisfied
It doesn't
I am.
last the entire time, so
Pleasure has opened
nothing too extreme.
inside my body. A new flower
But for anyone that's seen the first one, we have some more tree men.
that men will not be able to know.
Which in the first game, they were pretty much the final stage enemy that were super annoying. Pretty tough enemies. And if you get like headaches from blurry effects, you might want to look away for a quarter of a second here, because we're just going to have Corey having a terrible hangover, so we'll fix that very shortly. I'm not really sure who decided to add the horribly distorted blurring effect
That's
whenever
much better.
Corey is having his hangover, but
Much better.
I would have probably chose a different effect myself. It is very, very overdone, but not too bad because it only lasts about 15 seconds, as long as you know where you're going. But the complaints that I actually had in the original one, they did fix quite a few of them, involving the character's special abilities as well as the saves. So in this one, characters do have very defining special abilities, like Corey here. He's the acrobat of the group. He can actually go across the ledges and stuff that other people can't. So we do have abilities that matter, essentially. I know in the original I incorrectly stated that people had, like, no real in-combat use, but at the same time, there was... Shannon actually has a healing bonus in the first one, and Ashley's double attack effect actually affects ranged weapons as well. So, that was my mistake in the original. But here is a funny cutscene if we try and open the front door.
If you fancy a drink, I took a leak in the corner earlier.
The bouncer really enjoys our approaching the fraternity, so he tells us to piss off. But between Kenny and Amy here, Amy is actually the counter stereotype to the stereotypical dumb blonde college girl kind of routine. She's actually our person that can decipher stuff. So she can actually come in handy for solving puzzles. And Kenny is a strength character again. He doesn't have his sprint anymore, but he can do boxes and stuff.
I'm just a weak.
So
Yeah, sure.
Amy can't do this box, but Kenny can actually push it.
I like to see you work out.
Yeah, does it make you all hot and sweaty for me? I could use the exercise.
Don't worry. I'm sure someone will take.
Only real problem that I have with some of the characters is, again, they don't really have a whole lot of like in combat use, but at the same time they can. I'm pretty sure the differences between them is guys can still take more hits. I don't know what else in particular there is, but that seems to be something that can actually affect combat. I don't know if certain characters have like certain attributes that help them otherwise, so I can't really state on that. I do know in the first one that certain characters could run, well, not really run, but jog faster than other characters, so if it is a thing in this game, I'm not too certain, just because watching the characters move is basically all the same to me.
What is this mess?
Well, people had fun.
But we have our weapons now, and we do have these little keys that we can actually look out for. So we'll be on the lookout for those. But here we can actually take advantage of Amy's ability. Whenever there's certain puzzle pieces or just random strewn letters and stuff, we can use Amy to decrypt them. And right now we can see 1873. That was scratched into the desk. Not entirely certain why 1873 would be scratched into the desk, but at the same time, who knows? It seems kind of weird, but we'll use it in a second here.
Killed my boyfriend. It will soon be your turn. Take the gun in the billiards room.
Yeah, I had to pause at how just terrible that line delivery is, too. This game is very, very hit or miss whenever it comes to line deliveries and writing. The first one was okay, could be pretty bad at certain points, but this one is something else. Like, woo lad, they were doing something whenever they went about with that.
You just save your ammunition for later.
And if you're like me, these flowers, they're actually not bad places, they're actually saves. So, if you touch it, which it doesn't say like save game or anything, it just asks you, do you want to touch the flower, and then knocks you the fuck out. It's actually a save point. So yeah, you can save at these flowers. The one thing about them though, is whenever you do, it deletes the flower. You can only save at save points one time. So you kind of need to use them sparingly, because at the same time, the flowers disappear, so...
It can't be true. What a nightmare.
It's happening again.
What are you talking about?
At the college
So,
I was at,
we ended up getting rid of the
died from crap like this.
obese monster here, but it's actually implied that it was the girl that was just here. So she mutated and ended up becoming the big monster that happened to be there whenever we got here.
Oh, what a bloodbath!
Oh my god. We can't.
And here's your boy.
They're going to tear us to pieces.
Yeah, he told us to drink his pee in the corner. He apparently ate shit in the corner, so... And I just realized we actually don't really need to be in this room. You can go that way, but we actually know the puzzle combination over here, so I'm not really worried about going in there. So, I'll just show the bookshelf puzzle, but if you don't know this puzzle, you can actually just go into the kitchen in that area that we were just in, where we got jumped off, or the monsters jumped at us, and if you go into the kitchen, you can decipher the code on the counter, and it'll give you what you need for this room. Also, one of the enemies is kind of just chilling up there. That's kind of bizarre. I didn't see that before. Hang on here. There we go. Anyways, if we do this puzzle, we're actually in the fraternity that this represents, so Delta Theta Gamma, I think it was. I'm not really good with Greek alphabet, but at the same time, I can recite it. But yeah, we just need to arrange these in such the order that they want to be completed.
June told me about this brotherhood. It's been around for 200 years.
So we're just going to align them in the way that they want, which is the triangle at the top, circle at the bottom middle, and then the upside down L at the bottom right. From our perspective, looking up, and it's easy enough. We just complete that, the staircase comes down, and then we can move on to the next area. Again, if you needed that puzzle, it's actually in the kitchen. You just decipher the note with Amy, and she reads the sheet of paper, and that's the combination that you get. But we're going to be meeting a new character here. I actually forget his name. I'm not going to lie, he's very forgettable.
Look out!
I think it was Richard something. He's the professor. So, I'm probably just going to call him Professor, because most people refer to him as Professor. It's kind of weird if you call your teachers by their first names anyways, so he will be Professor.
I just don't get your infatuation with that thing. Well, they seem to have had a good time. Maybe too good a time.
So Corey and May end up pulling up on the party here,
Still hallucinating or what? Corey, we're leaving. No. We have to know what happened to the
but
others.
as you can see, the aftermath is
Take it back.
pretty messed up.
It could be useful.
Are you sure?
But here's where May comes in handy.
Knowing what's going on here.
May is the hacker girl of the group. But here, this game
It's the hacker
gives you
program that I had written to change my notes.
basically Jumble,
But it seems to work.
but it's for famous people.
Some famous
So,
people's names as
this
well.
first code is Mozart. You'll get about
Of course not.
2 or 3 hacking prompts throughout the game. There's not a whole lot, honestly.
Hey! What is that thing?
But yeah, we solve the code and then we just get into the building. I accidentally picked up the bat and the hockey stick with Corey there, so gonna give May the bat. And here we actually have our last key. You don't need to worry about the last key there whenever you're playing as Kenny and Amy. So you can get the last key here as May and Corey, and you get probably one of the more useful weapons in the game, which is the stun gun. And you can actually recharge them at circuit boxes like that. So now that I have May with the stun gun, if you hit an enemy with it for a prolonged amount of time, it will put them into their stun state. I know, amazing and very weird to hear, but it will put them into a stun state, making them very easy to deal damage to.
What a mess. The ones who did
So now we're going to use Corey,
To think we were supposed to have a
pull ourselves up,
Yeah. Well.
and then Corey can actually help other characters get pulled up places.
Get up here.
So we're going to help May up before she has her legs torn off, essentially. But you can see her going to town with that stun gun.
That went well.
I feel like
AI in this game are very bad with using weapons that you give them. Basically, whichever one you leave them on, they will go to town with it.
Man, these guys
So,
are real bookworms, huh?
I give May the stun gun, and that was the last thing that I had selected. So May will absolutely drain the shit out of the batteries in it before she switches to another weapon. And that's true for
are you okay?
pretty much every weapon.
You haven't seen Sven in
So if you hand the AI or switch off your character with a weapon selected,
Richard James.
like a flare gun, which has
I teach Bible
probably 15 shots in the entire game,
Theta Gamma
then they will drain them.
Are these
So you need to be very careful whenever you're switching between
or
things
was human.
in this game.
They're all still there. There are these purple marks all over it.
This
this is Matt. I recognize his tattoo, but we saw him not that long ago. He was fine.
It's that flower that's done this. Flower?
So as you can see, the flower in this game is mutating people. Same as before. Second verse, same as the first. Basically copy and paste the first game, and you have this game. And if you're wondering exactly how I know so much about this game, this isn't a blind playthrough. I've played through it once before. I ended up playing this one pretty much immediately after the first one, and I ended up enjoying it so much that I didn't stop, and that's an oopsie daisy on me, so. But we will need Corey. Yeah, the teacher is basically just telling us enemies that we kill, we can use the syringe that he handed us right here, and we can take tissue samples / proteins from the enemies that we kill, and we can make healing items out of them. As far as I know, there is no downside to doing such. It's only upside, so whenever you kill an enemy, you can syringe them and take the serums that they give you. So, yeah, I mean, you might as well, honestly, because it just gives you free healing over time, and the more enemies that you take out, the more healing that you get, essentially. So, there's not really a whole lot of point in not doing it. I mean, unless you're trying to save time or something, but we're not speedrunning, so it doesn't really matter for us. And we gotta switch back to Corey because the darkness came back on the speaker system. So we need to burn it away. And just make sure that it's all gone. And it came back anyways. Yeah, the darkness thing can be a little finicky. Most times it just kind of goes away, but I didn't grab it quick enough with Kenny, so.
Watch out, Kenny! There's something down there with you!
But, yeah, now we get attacked. We can actually use the spotlight to our advantage here. Since, Corey, that's his name. I keep wanting to call him Mike for some reason. Since Corey has control of the spotlight, we can actually take advantage of the fact that he has that and scare away the monsters. It's really just a lot better to get rid of all of the enemies up here, or down here. Although, don't want them sandwiching me. And you do have a 3-hit system in this one. It stuns enemies and knocks them down, so it's pretty good, in all honesty. Okay. Not really sure where the third guy went. I think I might have got him, but since we did get rid of them, we can go ahead and suck up the proteins of their, basically, hearts. I don't know. They refer to them as organs anymore, like we would, but yeah. We can take the special proteins from around their organs that they leave behind. And now we don't need Corey up on the projector anymore. Again, the shadows are kind of finicky in this. It's just because it's personal ROM that's being emulated. I don't condone piracy, so, you know. Do what you will with that, but this is a personal game ROM that I got from a game exchange that I dumped myself, and I'm using PCSX to emulate it. So, just know, it is legal to do your own ROMs, just not ones that you download. So, be responsible. If you want to play this game, there are ways, but I do so legally. But I do not I'm not giving instruction on how to do that, I'm just saying there are ways.
I'll never get used to this.
So anyways, we are now out of the fraternity house. Kinda got out relatively unscathed. Kenny took a few hits from the monsters, but that's not too big of a deal. But we'll go outside the front, and then we'll see Sven, who's missed everything, including all of the blood and messed up bodies that are currently relaying around him, but have disappeared somehow.
You'll never catch it.
Kinda strange.
Not far from here. Come back, you retard.
Also, I should probably mention this is an early 2000s game, so yeah, that wasn't really frowned upon back then, but they do use retard. All it means is slow scientifically, but I don't really use it a whole lot myself.
I'm coming.
So, in case anyone's triggered, sorry, late warning. It does use that one time.
We need you. I can't. I ran out of medicine and I need it badly. I'm starting to feel awful. I need to go to the hospital.